in red letters against a white background must clearly mark all exits and exit routes in the workplace. Take the time to learn the location of exits and exit routes in your workplace. It may save your life someday. Safety instruction signs are predominantly green, white, and black and provide general instructions and suggestions relating to safety measures. Sometimes signs can blend in with your surroundings, but don't make the mistake of ignoring them. It may not immediately come to mind as a work environment hazard, but a key issue nonetheless is temperature extremes. Working in hot environments like foundries, laundries, or construction sites can pose special hazards. Stay cool by drinking plenty of water, about 5 to 7 ounces every 15 to 20 minutes. Avoid caffeine, which makes your body lose water. While not always possible, it can be helpful to gradually acclimate to heat over a period of time. For example, start with working only a few hours in the heat and build up to a full shift over a period of several days. Other good tips are to wear light, breathable clothing and take rest breaks in cool areas. Tell your supervisor immediately if you begin to experience symptoms of heat-related illness like dehydration, cramps, or exhaustion. Cold environments aren't any better. In fact, the frequency of worker accidents is higher because impulses are inhibited and cold hands can become clumsy. You might think that all you have to do is dress appropriately, but you might be wrong. To work safely in cold environments, it's important to allow time to adjust to the cold, to work during the warmest hours of the day when possible, to stay hydrated, and to work with a buddy. Also, know the symptoms of dangerous cold-related stress, like severe shivering and fatigue, and what to do if you or a coworker exhibits them. Sometimes, the only way to protect yourself from workplace hazards is to wear personal protective equipment, or PPE. PPE protects you from hazards caused by work processes, the environment, radiation, chemicals, or mechanical irritants. PPE must be kept clean and in good condition to be effective. There's a type of PPE to protect you from your head to your toes. Let's start at the top. Protect your head with a hard hat where required. Know how to properly wear, adjust, and maintain it so it protects you effectively. Keep your eyes safe with protections such as safety glasses, safety goggles, welding helmets, and face shields. All eye protection must fit over your prescription lenses if you wear them. You can also use prescription safety glasses and goggles. Don't think that regular prescription eyeglasses will protect your eyes. They won't. What about your ears? Workers often underestimate the need for hearing protection, but the damage from noise exposure can be devastating and irreversible too. You can protect your hearing by wearing devices such as earplugs and earmuffs provided by your employer. Respirators are a form of PPE that protects against air contaminants. It's very important to get a good fit and wear the right type of respirator for the hazards involved. If your job requires a respirator, your employer must train you on how to use it properly. Gloves are the most common type of hand protection. Use the correct glove depending on what you're handling, because gloves are job-specific. Good fit is a must too. Foot hazards include compression, puncture, slipping, wetness, chemicals, and extreme temperatures. Keep your feet safe with safety shoes and boots, and if necessary, metatarsal guards designed for the work you do. Basic safety shoes and boots must meet industry standards. Specific foot protection is also available to provide some protection against electrical hazards when necessary. The type of equipment you use can vary widely by job. One thing all equipment has in common, though: there's a right way and a wrong way to operate and maintain it. You must be trained to operate any and all machinery and equipment before you start using it. Something you'll find in just about all workplaces: forklifts and material handling equipment like pallet jacks and stackers. The upside of using these types of equipment is that they save time, money, and an aching back. The downside is that, like any machine, they can be hazardous if not used correctly and safely. Never operate forklifts or material handling equipment without proper training and authorization. It's not just operators who are at risk either. Each year in the U.S., many workplace pedestrians are injured in accidents involving forklifts. Forklift operators have to practice good safety habits, but so do you whenever you're around one. Use designated pedestrian walkways whenever they're available. And it may seem obvious, but look both ways before stepping into an aisle, around a corner, or through a doorway. You'd be surprised at how many people fail to do so. Also, be aware of blind spots. Convex mirrors, when available, will help you see if a forklift is coming. Listen for warnings. Forklift operators will sound the horn to alert you of their presence. When a forklift approaches, make sure the operator sees you. Although it may be tempting to save time, never walk under or work beneath raised pallets or forks. Never ride on forklifts unless an appropriate seat or position is provided. No shortcut is worth the injury that could result. Operators are trained to yield the right of way and to not speed or make sudden turns. But you never know when a momentary lapse in judgment might occur, so be on the lookout. If you work with machinery, be cautious. Some tools, machinery, and equipment can trap your hands or clothing and pull you into the machine, causing severe injury. Some equipment can send sparks or fragments flying. Machine guards, screens, and shields help protect you against injuries. All exposed moving parts must be guarded. Even if you think they're in the way, guards must not be removed. It simply isn't safe. If guards become damaged or inoperative, shut the machine down and have the guard inspected and repaired if necessary by a qualified person. Use the right tool for the job. How many times have you heard that in your life? It's not just to make the job easier, it also makes it safer. Always inspect tools before using them. Operate tools according to the manufacturer's instructions, and take damaged tools out of service. Just like anything else, tools need regular maintenance to perform at their best. If the tool calls for it, wear appropriate PPE, and don't remove any safety guards. They're there to protect you. Continuous use of vibrating tools and equipment can also cause serious injury. To minimize your risk, don't use any more force than you need to. We touched on falls from slips and trips earlier. Falls can also occur when you use ladders and stairways, and the fall can be a lot more serious. Falls happen for a variety of reasons, including your failure to inspect the ladder or stairway before you use it. Other problems: wet, greasy, or oily shoes, or poorly maintained ladders or stairs. When it comes to ladders, choose the right one for the job. You can help prevent injury by inspecting ladders frequently, using them properly, and keeping them in good shape. When you place a ladder, see that it has a good, solid base, and watch out for any overhead electrical hazards. Here's the right way to climb a ladder. Make sure your shoes are clean. Face the ladder, use both hands. Hoist tools up only after you reach the top, and don't lean out to do the work. On stairways, take the same precautions against slips and trips you would on flat ground. Only be even more vigilant and use the handrail. Does your company do any welding? Even if it's not part of your manufacturing process, welding is commonly used in the workplace for maintenance and repairs. If you pass by or work near a welding area, don't look directly at the bright arc, or even at the bright reflections of the arc. In addition to the intense visible light, welding emits ultraviolet and infrared radiation that can harm unprotected eyes and skin. If you'll be welding in your job, you can expect to receive specialized training and guidelines on the specific PPE you'll need. No matter how much planning your employer does, emergencies can happen. That's why your company has an emergency action plan. Every employee, including you, needs to know what to do in case of fire, severe storms, injuries, chemical releases, and other emergencies. Your company will train you on the proper response to various emergency scenarios. We'll talk about some general guidelines here. At the most basic level, activate your company's emergency response system or call 911. If 911 isn't available, know where to find the emergency phone numbers for hospitals, doctors, and ambulances. Every workplace should have at least one person on site with a valid first aid certificate who can analyze situations and treat certain serious injuries. If a worker needs first aid, call for help. Don't administer first aid unless you're properly trained to do so. Know where first aid supplies are located in your workplace and make a point to let your employer know when supplies are low. Also, know where eye wash and shower stations are and how to use them in case you get chemicals in your eyes or on your skin. Some work sites have automatic external defibrillators, life-saving devices that can restore normal heart rhythm. You'll want to know who's trained to use one and who's trained in CPR. You should also know the signs of frostbite, hypothermia, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke, and get medical help immediately if they occur. OSHA requires your employer to keep records of employee injuries. If you're injured on the job, even if it's just a minor injury, report it to your supervisor immediately. It could save someone else from being hurt down the road. A workplace hazard you can't even see is blood-borne pathogens. These are microorganisms sometimes found in blood that can lead to disease, even death. Certain other body fluids can sometimes be infectious too. So it's important to minimize potential contact with blood-borne pathogens and body fluids by following the exposure control plan at your workplace. Never directly touch another person's blood without proper protection. It's simply a best practice for your own safety. Follow universal precautions. That means treat all blood and body fluids as if they were infectious. Use proper gloves and personal protective equipment and wash your hands often. Always follow proper procedures for sanitizing contaminated surfaces and equipment and disposal of blood, needle sticks, and other potentially infectious materials. This is the biohazard symbol, and it means blood-borne pathogens may be present, and you need to be extra cautious when you see it. Chemical spills and releases pose their own unique set of risks. How to handle them is outlined in a regulation called Hazardous Waste Operations and Emergency Response, or HAZWOPER. HAZWOPER requires employers to have plans for responding to hazardous substance releases. Some work sites have emergency response teams, people who know how to handle spills and releases. Others use outside services to respond. If you're the first to discover a spill of an unknown substance, don't attempt to clean it up yourself. Follow your company's specified procedure. We've covered a long list of safety-related items, but there's one last item, perhaps seemingly unrelated, that can affect your personal safety. and that's workplace violence. Unfortunately, all workplaces are at risk from violence of one type or another. If you're aware of a troubled employee making threats, exhibiting major personality or behavioral changes, showing signs of severe depression, or displaying an unhealthy preoccupation with weapons, let your supervisor know about your observations. Wherever your job takes you, think about safety throughout the day. Adopt good work practices. Be vigilant about potential hazards. Use and maintain equipment as it's intended, and know what to do in case of emergency. Remember, no one can keep you safe without your cooperation. Do your part by practicing good safety habits every single minute while you're at work. When you think about safety, when you choose to be safe and take responsibility for your own safe behavior, you go a long way towards protecting yourself and those around you. Good luck and take care.